Bengaluru is a lovely city to be in. Okay, otherwise none of us would be here.
Yeah.
Okay, we earn from here. We have earned our spurs from here, and therefore, whenever somebody criticizes Bengaluru, I get very angry.
Those were the conversations. And now, 60, 65 kilometers of land, jobs are getting created. So there is a lot of aspiration to earn more, to get the best house. There are houses which by default have 2 cars now. This kind of material wealth that we seem to be chasing somewhere feels a little hollow, because then the purpose is missing. So if I want a single most metric to track, I would track the sense of belonging.
That's totally a wrong thing to do. It's extremely critical for us to ensure that there are real people with the real interests of local society who will come out and participate. The second thing is, there's businesses saying that, on the Vidhan Sauda, we have this thing written which says, government's work is God's work. Okay. Now the thing is, yes, it's God's work, but it's God's work done by people.
I slightly differ. We have forgotten people involved in creating that wealth for those who want to become wealthy. Yeah? And that number is something that we also want to celebrate.
Hello folks, welcome to FourPlay. Don't get ideas, you cheeky lot. FourPlay by ISD Global is a podcast where Bangalore stops whining and Bangalore starts winning. Because nobody is going to come to the city and say, here's some cheese to go with your wine. I'm Suresh Dinakaran, provocateur in chief, and this podcast is all about trying to make our city sassier, smarter, and sans potholes. Well, that might be pushing it a bit. So no victim cards, we've gone paperless, no blame games, just bold ideas, body, banter, and a Bangalore that we can always, all of us can be bragging about. And this is being podcast from the suave, sophisticated, elegant Four Seasons Embassy 1 Bengaluru. So ready to play. Bangalore deserves far more than passive admiration. We've admired its filter coffee, its microbreweries, the Silicon Valley tag, etc., etc. But now Bangalore deserves action and attention. So together, let's FourPlay. Hello there, and welcome to yet another podcast of FourPlay at the Four Seasons. Today we have some awesome threesome with us to my right. So without further ado, in fact, they've broken geographies. They also have other schedules to kind of catch up with. So I wouldn't take too much of time to let them introduce themselves, and we'll go anti-clockwise because that seems to be the trend of the day. Yes.
Okay. Hi, Yeshaswini, good friend of Suresh, and very, very proud to have created the world's first artificial intelligence platform that measures human behavior at scale. And we're really defining and redefining for a lot of organizations what workplace culture is. And hopefully, India will take its rightful place, being the human capital of the world. But I'm here as a citizen and come from a background of bureaucrats and judges, an outlier in my family. To be a business woman.
Malcolm would be glad.
But happy to be here, and thanks for inviting me.
Pleasure.
Thank you. My name is Harish Bijoor, and I love Bengaluru. And I'm meeting Suresh for the first time. I don't know why it's taken so long, but that's me. Yeah.
I'm Brinda Adige. Yes, I'm also a Bengalurian. I consider myself an active citizen. Met Suresh first time this morning.
There's a first time for everything, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, so let's begin at the beginning. Since Harish is at the center, we'll start with him and put him on the spot probably. Harish, just imagine there is this client brand called Bangalore. It is walking into your consulting firm. And so what is the diagnosis, the brand diagnosis that you would give to the city? And which will definitely involve, shaking away its past. And what is the narrative that you would encourage that the city has to inculcate going forward?
Okay, interesting question that. Now, I would typically say that, hey guy, dear Bengaluru, you have a problem. And your problem is of plenty. Your problem is, needs to be diagnosed. And therefore, since I'm a firm believer in market research, I would say that I need to market research and find out what your problem is. Now, that's something I've already done. Okay. So, having done that, I would say that, hey guys, your big problem is the fact that you have just too much. Too much has happened a bit too fast. Everything has fallen onto you from the heavens in a big, big manner. And thanks to people like N.R. Narayan Murthy, Nandan, and N numbers of people who floated in forces for a period of time, you created a Bangalore ecosystem of saying that, I'm going to be this end-to-end services city. And the end-to-end services city led on, and you became a BPO city, you became the outsourcing city for the world, and numbers of stuff happened. And we are coming now to the AI edge, a space in which I work quite passionately, and I see Bengaluru, really being at the cutting edge and bleeding edge of doing a lot of good things. Now the thing is, I would say your problem is of plenty. I would also be rude to Bengaluru on the face. So just imagine Mr. Bengaluru is sitting here, just to be gender right, I'm not calling it Miss Bengaluru or them Bengaluru. But Mr. Bengaluru, you have a problem. What's my problem? I would say your problem is that you are a greedy city. Greed has gotten to you. And you've bought into that Americanism, which you shouldn't have bought into. And that is to say that greed is good, inverted commas. My dear friends, greed is not good. And greed is what has caused all the problems. So problem number one, your big problem is that you're a small city with a small mindset. I insist, small mindset.
Airports.
And at the same time, you have embraced a population number which you can't hold. We have 142 lakh people in Bengaluru as at last month end. Add to it 16 lakh people who enter into the city every day as transit folk from the airways, from the railways, from the roadways, and they work here and go back. Now you can't bear the burden of this big, big lot which is entering into the city. You have a limited number of kilometers of road space, and you have your metro is woefully inadequate to take care of you. And you are trying to say, I am big. So Bengaluru, watch out, sort yourself out, and then I'll get to the solutions. The solutions I'll speak later, because I don't want to hog the initial piece of talk. But just to say that Bengaluru is a problem city today.
Thank you, thank you. Problem of plenty, and there are plenty of problems, right? So Brinda, coming to you probably in a very thankless space, and thank you so much for all the work that you do from all of us. It takes a lot of gumption, guts. I don't think whether you get glory or not, but that's the third part of the G. But what is the calling in terms of taking it up for something like this? Because it takes a lot of, as I mentioned, it takes a lot of guts and gumption to take up something like this. Social justice, social injustice, inequities. Bangalore is supposedly the most progressive city. Is it a myth that we are telling and selling ourselves, or is it a reality? What are your experiences?
Okay. I think it is both. To begin with, Bangalore has many firsts, like Bijoor just pointed out. We, in fact, can pride ourselves as being the first city that had the Makkala Sahayavani, the child protection helpline, which I pioneered with the Bangalore City Police. The first helpline for women, the first helpline for senior citizens, and we've had many such firsts. So yes, we are a progressive city. And that said, I would also want to have a little more contradiction on what Bijoor said, is the greed from so-called this American, whatever we want to call it. Is it only greed that we have adopted from America? Why did we not adopt consultation with the citizens? Because
Liberty.
that's something that also we see happening in America. Now here what we see is the elected representatives and the bureaucrats unwilling to consult with the citizens, the paymaster citizens of this city when they are making decisions. Now that is not a charity that we are asking. We want it because that is my constitutional right. So because that is not happening, and groups of people, cohorts of people, if I might use that word, just continue to make decisions for all of us. And that is why we have now reached the space that we are. That said, there is also no transparency and accountability. Now we're coming to the kind of work that I am doing. I'm passionate, I love what I do, and I believe that each of us is put into a space where we are happy and we believe that this is the calling. And I would not say it's thankless.
Okay.
I think every day when we find children, young people,
I'm
senior
sorry, I
citizens.
put you in the same bracket as nurses and teachers.
Okay, I think even they don't say that it is. So where does this thankless come? Am I looking forward to some gratitude from somebody? No, there is no need for me to look forward to that. Nobody asked me, Brinda, come and be my activist. Nobody asked me. I'm doing it out of my own choice.
Right.
So this happiness, this fulfilling contentment, whatever we might call it, frustration, the anger to question and challenge status quo, powers that be, is all mine. I believe that it is my duty, my role, and I like what I'm doing. And that said, I think it is not something that I do by myself. There is a whole lot of other people who are with me, and I am with them. We are also trying to build a collective consciousness, because somewhere along the line we've kept telling, did you get justice? Will she get justice? Will he get justice? Justice has to be owned by each one of us, because none of us know when we might reach that space.
It is not an off the shelf.
Exactly. So that ownership is also something that we are losing. It is disintegrating. And there I would like to say again, can we even look at America? We must look at ourselves, because we have a civilization where we always spoke about community, family, coming together. Something happened to you, something happened to her. We are all worried and bothered. But today we have learnt that individualism, moving away from that collectivism to saying, I should be happy, I should be this, I should be that. But again, I will come back to the responsibility that my state has let go of. The kind of education system that is being promoted. The education system that we allow for different castes of people and different class of people. That also has been promoted by my state, by businesses, and yes, the citizens. So we want to take responsibility for all of that. We cannot say that, it is your job or my job. And that collective responsibility is what I'm hoping that we work towards, and I want to be and continue to be party to.
Okay, thank you. Yes, you are in this onerous task of quantifying the unquantifiable. You're a data queen, right? Okay, and I just wanted to understand from you, since you do some really sophisticated, bleeding edge work, what is that single metric that we could use for the city? And or is a city just, is it data hoarding or data mining? I would like to understand from you as a data queen.
As a data queen, I think we have very less data to even get into mining or hoarding. Look, I think my perspective is fairly simple. I think the problem that we're dealing with from a culture standpoint is civic apathy. We may come here and say whatever we want to say. We're all motivated to be doing what we're doing. I get that, but there is a lot of apathy, and I think the greed aspects or the taking decisions in isolation is simply because we've grown too quickly. There is corruption. If you look at lakes, like basically, why are we working so hard? Because we want a good quality life. What is the definition of a good quality life? Maybe materialistic for some, maybe spiritual for some, maybe all of that. But But if you want a single most metric, I think it would be a sense of belonging. Is
Well
this
said, yeah.
really our city? And the moment I feel this is my city, I will take that extra initiative to go and, make a voice, create a platform, reach out. We're so busy. We're so chasing the next promotion. I'm talking about Bangalore because we are the human capital, like you said, the BPO happened, the IT happened, SM Krishna, that single road to electronic city, God knows where, bordering Tamil Nadu. And there were talks about what will happen if both our states start fighting during Kaveri because Rajkumar had got abducted. Those were the conversations. And now, 60, 65 kilometers of land, jobs are getting created. So there is a lot of aspiration to earn more, to get the best house. There are houses which by default have 2 cars now. This kind of material wealth that we seem to be chasing somewhere feels a little hollow because then the purpose is missing. So if I want a single most metric to track, I would track the sense of belonging, because apathy is our biggest issue.
That's beautifully put. I think it's a nice segue that I can get to Harish on. Harish, imagine that you've been appointed the Chief Brand Custodian for Bangalore. Okay, and your first task is how do I repurpose, rebrand,
Under which
reboot?
ministry will you come? That itself is a decision.
No, we have to have a different ministry for that. Okay, so as a Chief Brand Custodian of Bangalore, and obviously the task at hand is rebrand, reboot, repurpose. What is the thing that you would like to do first, on a war footing?
See, I'll tell you, it's all about wanting to do things. This wanting to do things is a missing element as far as people who govern the city of Bengaluru are concerned. And by that point, I simply mean that Bengaluru is governed by 2 sets of people. By your elected representatives who you reach out to once in 5 years. Typically, if everything is hunky-dory, once in 5 years. And to an extent, the second bit is every citizen and every kind of a task that individual citizen does to take care of the city. Bengaluru, being the outsourcing capital of the world, has decided that citizens will outsource governance to the people who govern them. And I think that is the biggest mistake that's been made. And that is something I would like to correct for a start. Okay. Now, what's the meaning of that? It simply means to say that a person in Bengaluru reaches out after being 18 years of age 3 times in 5 years to elect somebody or the other. So one is, of course, the BBMP councillor who you reach out to. The second is the MLA who you will elect at a point of time. And the third is the member of parliament you will elect once in 5 years again. Now, I don't know, with one nation, one election, this might become just once in 5 years. Okay, which means to say that the Bengaluru person / persona is completely convinced that I don't belong. The Bengaluru persona loves to talk, but the Bengaluru persona does not like to participate. The Bengaluru persona does not like to act. Likes to talk about governance, likes to talk about politics, likes to criticize politics, but does not want to participate. And that's the first thing I'd like to correct as a brand custodian of the city. I would say both have a task. The citizen has a task. If something comes up for discussion, citizens need to participate. For instance, any public action taken by the government, you're mandated to actually advertise it, announce it, and call for public participation. And it's actually done. But then the time they give you for that public participation is so low, possibly it's 1 week in a recent case which just happened last week, which you'll be familiar with, Brinda.
Yes.
So if you look at it, that's very little time. And people say, to hell with it, yeah. I am living in this city, I am enjoying this city, and why should I participate in these kind of things? There's a certain degree of feeling to say that I don't matter, I don't count, what I say does not matter, what I say does not count. And I think the second role of making people understand that you count belongs to the governance structure of the city. Okay, so there is a BBMP. The BBMP has the task to ensure that there is a ward committee and then there's a shadow ward committee which actually manages the ward committee which exists. And however many number of wards you have, you're meant to have shadow ward committees. But what happens is typically these ward committees are filled with political personas appointed by politicians who do believe that it's a way of passing on goodwill to their electorate.
Responsibility.
That's totally a wrong thing to do. It's extremely critical for us to ensure that there are real people with the real interests of local society who will come out and participate. The second thing is, there's business of saying that, on the Vidhan Sauda, we have this thing written which says, government's work is God's work. Okay? Now the thing is, yes, it's God's work, but it's God's work done by people. The people are the gods. The politicians are not our gods. Now we have an attitude to say that at times the politicians are our gods. But who's to blame? The citizens. I keep saying, Bengaluru is a rented city. Bengaluru is a rented city. No one owns it. What's the meaning of that? It simply means to say that everybody likes to come. Our mindset when we work in Bengaluru, and this goes to a lot of people in Bengaluru, and I'm not going to be a popular person when people hear this. It's a rented city. Nobody wants to participate. I rent it for a period of time and then I go. It's a city I want to extract things out of. Every person in Bengaluru extracts stuff out of the city, including I. I have extracted the best out of the city for myself. What am I giving back here? I need to ask that question. So this extractive mindset exists. I come here, I want to first get a job. I get a great job, I want to now make some good money. And intellectual capital at play. Everything is intellectual capital, bulk of it. Where you make good money is intellectual capital. And once that intellectual capital happens, I want my money to make more money for me. And that's great stuff for the Bangalore ecosystem. My money is making good stuff, I want to own a set of apartments in Bangalore. I want to buy. I want to buy to stay, I want to buy for investment. I do both of that. And therefore I extract. It doesn't matter whether the road that reaches out to my big palatial apartment complex is so narrow that common sense says that you mustn't build there. Doesn't matter, yeah. Because water has a way of finding its own level, and even this water shall find its own level. So the thing is, the only water that finds its level is when it pours and your houses get flooded out here. This is a problem, Suresh, that's saying very simply that we don't own the city, we rent the city. And renting the city is short-term interest. We are only bothered about short-term interest, not long-term interest. The only few souls who actually talk about the city and are loud and vocal and are unpopular about the city, those are the ones who own the city. But they feel so frustrated. They feel so frustrated that I can't do anything. And therefore, we tend to talk the talk and never walk the talk.
So
very difficult
I'd
stuff.
like to kind of, if I may come in.
Please.
I think fair enough. I know the intention is to kind of get the conversations going, but it's a little unidimensional. I think there is a large set of people who are working tirelessly for this thing. And from a communication standpoint, I think we have to look at how the media promotes, because what gets promoted and communicated is what gets discussed. And unfortunately, the two things that is still laying on in my mind. I think first in your introduction, when you said, should we shake off our past of Bangalore? I think I'm very proud of what Bangalore used to be, the knowledge capital. We had engineers, Vishwesvaraya was from here, and suddenly we became BPO, right? And now we're talking wealth creation. Short-term wealth creation is probably a reality, because look at our average age of the country. We're very young, we're very poor, right? Wealth, the extremities of pockets of wealth is only going to get bigger and bigger. So I don't think we should find fault with the fact that people want to be materialistically stable.
Okay.
I think
Got
that
it.
is the phase of life.
Let me react to that. Let me react to that and come back to your other point.
Okay.
Let me put it this way. See, the whole issue is I want to be contentious today. You know why? I'm angry here. And I want a lot of people in this city to be angry. There's someone sitting to my right, and that's an angry young lady out there, which is Brinda. Okay? the kind of work that she does, phenomenal work, and the kind of anger that she brings to the party, the kind of dissonance that she brings to the party, fantastic. I've actually made a list of such people in Bangalore city. Okay, 213 people. I will add 214 Yeshaswini next. Okay, what am I saying? 214 people in this city, and guess what? Out of these 214 people, some are very powerful people who really go out and make themselves unpopular and really shout from the rooftop for the sake of this city. And I can name names today.
I know.
I mean, no, let me take the name of one guy who's passionate about the city and who talks through the roof about it, TV Mohandas Pai.
Yeah.
Mohan is a guy who's passionate about the city. Kiran Mazumdar Shah, she doesn't give a damn about mincing words. N.R. Narayan Murthy, equally. To an extent, I can name them. I mean, these are the top 5 names maybe I'm thinking of, but there are 213 others. They need not be as powerful as any of these,
No.
but they talk. Hang on, let me reply to this. I belong to something called the Bangalore Political Action Committee. Okay, we set it up 11 years ago, and we do good work, and we don't talk about it. I mean, we want others to talk about it. There's something called Whitefield Rising in Bangalore. They do fantastic work. Again, there are 16 organizations of this kind who do great work. I'm not underplaying the kind of tasks that these guys are handling. But what I'm saying is there's inadequacy. We need a lot more citizens to come up and say, I want to participate in the city. I have no problem in being extractive here. I've been extractive myself. I just want to say, let's be extractive, but let's also give back. Let's not give back with words. Let's give it with action. That's what I'm looking at.
Fair enough, but my point is that when you talk about 214, 50, whatever is the number, why are we looking at the business class only? The custodians of Bangalore is not the private sector
Oh,
only.
no, hang on.
So when
These
you talk about
214 are not business
They are
people.
cutting across
Oh,
the
no.
but
The top 5, the top 20 may be business people, not even the top 20.
But
I've got auto rickshaw drivers.
Sure.
I've got an association of auto rickshaw drivers which is led by women. There are women auto rickshaw
No, I
drivers.
get it, but just allow me to complete. So I'm saying in the discourse of what's happening, when you talk about citizenship, Bangalore being the startup capital, my point is what gets celebrated gets repeated. That's how human behavior works. I'm celebrating you, you're a role model. People are going to look at you and say, how can I become like him, right? So when you look at the discourse
So
of the city,
issue?
I think because I picked up on the brand, because I think a couple of things, right? One, what is the culture that we're celebrating? We're celebrating a culture of billions of dollars of valuations, unicorns, soonicorns, wealth is being created. So it shouldn't surprise us that the youth is looking at wealth creation, right? Second, when you talk about famous voices of the city, almost always it comes to the names that we always keep speaking about. I don't think we have done enough to really work hard to bring out diverse voices in the city, and that's what pains me.
Suresh,
because it's very easy
in
to
reaction
generalize.
to what Yash says, I would say, we need something called a community Mahakumbh of Bengaluru, okay? Which is to say that, we have a startup Mahakumbh, where I'm just coming back from just now. We have a
And I have
Mahakumbh
a problem with
for
what
science
Piyush
and all
Goyal
that.
said.
Okay. No, I don't have a problem with
I have a
Piyush.
huge problem with what Piyush
I
said.
think Piyush has said the right thing
No, I
for
don't
the
think
first
so.
time.
I don't think
And
so.
I think Piyush has held a mirror to industry,
I
and
don't
industry has held back a mirror to him. Because the government is equally responsible
Exactly,
for
it's
it. But the
bravado.
point is, again, our startup industry at times is short-sighted. We don't want to hear at times, I'm doing great things. Yeah, but Piyush has held a mirror and said, hey guys, we need to be doing something else. But Piyush is equally responsible because the government hasn't put in enough money. There's no time for patience capital in this city.
Exactly.
I mean, in this country. Where is patience capital in anything that you and I do?
Exactly.
None of it. There's no patience capital. Everything is, I put in some bucks, in 5 years' time, I need to have an exit, and that exit must be a multi-million-dollar exit, and somebody also can. But coming back to that point, what Yash mentioned, I'm just saying, hey, listen, we need to be saying there are a lot of other things which are more important than just the tech that I do, just the non-tech that I do, just my mundane life that I handle. There's a lot more to it. And lot more is what I see, what I breathe, the air quality in the city, I mean, is important
Well said.
equally.
Well said.
Everything that is physical is important, everything that's metaphysical is important. The culture, what's happened to the old Bangalore culture? I mean, theatre,
Yeah.
music, every kind of dance form, which was a big, big thing today. Now we've become very tiny islands of these in the city. Maybe, activating many of these things is something we need
Absolutely.
to.
I think Brinda has been itching to say something. Just to summarize what both of them, the beautiful debate that they had, what they're alluding to is that citizenry is a two-way contact sport. It is not a spectator's sport. Right? It's very, very, because so civic apathy is the loudest noise that we can, and that silence of that noise is deafening. Right? So please carry on. Brinda, you wanted to say something.
Many things, okay. Okay. So I want to talk about the elections that Bijoor spoke. No one nation, one election. Because
you're not for it, is what you're saying?
Not for it.
Okay.
There's nothing homogeneous in our country. We are a country that celebrates
Diversity.
Diversity.
Yeah.
No, diversity everywhere. Bijoor and Yeshaswini, we spoke about culture. You look at culture, different geographies in Bangalore itself. Forget any other place. The culture is so different. Our heritage is so different. Our traditions are so different. There may be some commonalities, but that difference, that diversity is what we want to hold on to and celebrate. There's no way that we can talk about, everybody, homogeneous. The Obato in your house is certainly different from the Obato in my house and Yeshaswini's house, but it's all Obato. And we love all of it. There's no way I can say yours is better, less like this. No. So that homogeneous understanding must be shattered. We are a diverse country and we need to continue to celebrate that diversity and hold on to it tight. That's what Bangalore is also. The 3 elections that he spoke about, I want to say that actually gives citizens a lot more power to say, hey, I elected you a year ago on this, and I find that these are not okay. So when it comes to my municipal elections, this is the party or these are the independent, because as per 74th Amendment, there should not be any parties for our municipal council elections. But even then, for whatever reasons we have, we now want to look at the different people, different party. Then when it comes to the MP elections, we again want to look at it differently. Otherwise, where would that opposition, that voice that is challenging and questioning come from? If there is so-called homogeneity, and if there's something is going wrong or something is not right, nobody's going to question it. And we are seeing it in parts and bits and pieces, largely also in different parts of our country, and we do not want to repeat that mistake. Now that said, I want to come back to what Bijoor and Yeshaswini spoke about, is this culture. Yes, we have forgotten, there's so much of drama, theatre, all kinds of celebrations where we've now forgotten, and we said, okay, we make that pockets of celebration and we want to let it to contain only in that pocket. Now, from where did this information or messaging come, this narrative come? And like Yeshaswini points out, it is the communication. Where are we going wrong? Largely also, we are discussing it from a very classist perspective. We have forgotten people involved in creating that wealth for those who want to become wealthy. Yeah? And that number is something that we also want to celebrate. We want to recognize. We want to extend that respect and dignity to them. We are looking at a large number of people in the informal sector. The laws that we talk about, the policies that we talk about, and the government talks about, doesn't even reach them. Now, have they collectivized themselves to raise this voice? And if they have collectivized and raised their voice, does media look at it? Is that communicated to everybody? These are big questions. What is the kind of infrastructure we extend to them? Look at construction workers. Where are their homes and where do they stay? Where do their children go to school? Where do their women feel safe? As a city, we have not extended any of that. And if we say that we feel that we are belonging to this, then how do I make the migrant laborers feel belonged over here? How do I feel the large number of women who are involved in domestic work, garment work, and all of these informal sectors? My government might talk about policies, but it doesn't really reach them, which then percolates to, are your children going to school? Do they go to the same school that my children go to? What are the various other facilities that we give to other schools? Why would I want to give license to a school just next to a government school when there is a government school over there? So these are very big questions that we must ask.
Yeah.
Because that is the education that will teach me my love for my city, my love for my culture, my language, and everything else that I talk of as Bangalore.
Lovely. Thanks, Brinda. Yes. Now, what is the cultural blind spot that you think we are missing in the city? Because it can do so much, right? So, once upon a time, we used to have this cliche called, or adage, whatever you might want to call it, culture eats strategy for breakfast. Then, at the point classification, what we did was, we knocked out eats for right, and just made it culture eats strategy.
Sure.
Right?
No.
Okay, so I would like to know both of your takes on the fact that how it can become a fantastic AAA asset allied ammunition for a city like ours.
Well, your question was, what is the cultural blind spot for Bangalore? I think one is the fact that while we speak about citizenship and all of that, we keep forgetting that majority of the population of Bangalore is floating population. So if you actually speak about Kannadigas in our own city, we're a minority, right? So
That's you may.
yeah, I mean, it's reflective of any cosmopolitan city which is experiencing fast growth, because we are attracting talent not only from across the states within India, but also across the globe. The expat community in Bangalore is one of the largest in the country. So I think for us to take forward the cultural narrative of the city, I think we should do a lot more of the Bangalore Happa. We should do a lot more of the Bangalore Literature Festival. We should do a lot more about science and technology. I think we celebrate very less about who we genuinely are, and we're getting sidetracked. I don't think we're apologetic about it. I think we're getting blinded by this whole startup wealth creation culture, which is great. I do get the fact that we want to create more jobs. But why is it that we're unidimensional about it, right? Technology is an equalizer. So if technology is an equalizer, and irrespective of what business you start, culture then becomes your competitive advantage. So I think Bangalore has to amp up its culture card, because we're the most tolerant, we're the most accommodative, we genuinely respect cultures. I mean, Bangalore has French, German, languages, our food. So, I know we're the innovation hub and we're the BPO hub. I think we're also the food hub. I mean, the diversity that a city like Bangalore has. I don't think we celebrate it enough. I think we should celebrate the good stuff. We're getting very unidimensional in startups and all of that, which is okay, which is fine, which is great. But I think we should forget who we are.
Beautiful point. I'll tell you that later on. I want to have Brinda's take on it.
Yes, while I agree with everything that Yeshaswini said, again, when we look at the Bangalore literature, it's one section of people. Can we bring that also to the others? Because we are looking at, like you mentioned, a floating population. But if you look at the floating population, the ones, again, creating wealth, building and constructing our homes and factories and whatever, is a large number that's here for about 2-3 years. It's only after that they move away. What about that group of people? Then we have a very permanent group of people living in slums, living on in the suburbs, and they are never counted. So when we're looking at culture, we also want to recognize the culture that they have.
Make geography history.
Make geography, yes. and acknowledge it and celebrate it, which we are not celebrating.
We're celebrating now.
Yes, we don't celebrate that. And that, to me, is also our indigenous culture. Because a lot of the others we've borrowed and molded it to fit our sense of like or dislike, or whatever it is. But when we're looking at that indigenousness, that we've lost it because we are not recognizing it and we are not promoting it. Also, there is no money, because we must address this issue of money.
Then it is not the fancy, shiny object.
Correct. It's not, like you mentioned, it's not that fancy stuff. So, which I don't relate with. But what I've forgotten is that was what my ancestors were. Somewhere along the way, I decided to adopt a lot of it, become cosmopolitan, very good. But what about my indigenous history and heritage? If that we are not able to bring and put it in front over here, my Bangalore will not be that Bangalore. Because that is the Bangalore I'm talking about. I'm not saying I must go back to that Bangalore, but bring in that Bangalore to be over here. Because that bit of my culture we have forgotten. A culture where we celebrated, all of us celebrated all of the festivals together.
Yes.
And today we have said that, oh, it's that festival. Careful, don't go into that geography. Oh, this person's festival. Why? Why have we allowed my Bangalore to become compartmentalized into that space, which we don't agree with, and we know we don't belong to that. So that is something that we have a challenge, and that challenge I think every Bangalorean must and should accept and take it, because that is the kind of culture and heritage I want brought back, celebrated.
But
Culture can eat with the city for breakfast or lunch.
Yes.
no, culture is a competitive advantage. Look, we have 1.5 billion people. Bangalore has already crossed,
15.
a crore and a half is our population, edging towards that. So we need jobs. There's no running away train. We need jobs for our locals. We attract talent. So it will always be a service sector kind of thing. And if you talk about tourism, which is what, the Swachh Bharat campaign and everything kind of work towards, is, we have so much to celebrate. And why aren't we celebrating culture? Because tourism is all about stories and imagination, visuals. And I think Karnataka has everything. We have a desert, we have the oceans, the seashore, we have mountains. The only thing we don't have is snow. But
Microcosm of India, actually.
We can always create.
and that's us, and we should celebrate. Culture is our biggest competitive advantage. We will only raise probably a Kannadigas who know Hindi, who know French. Even in Bangalore today, if you talk to an Uppo guy, he's going to talk to you in Hindi first. Where is Kannada? I don't want to sound like I'm doing a political.
No, I want to second you.
But I think we should somewhere be very proud of our heritage that we are. And I don't think we should allow overpowering of cultures, which is happening right now.
Sure. It's so well put, both of you. So if one were taking, I want to launch an export business. Okay, and I want to export some of the beautiful things from Bangalore to the rest of the country and outside, beyond borders. What can we do?
I would export ragi.
Okay, I mean, that
Food, because food comes to me naturally. Textiles, food and textiles for me is so poor. Coffee, ragi, the millets, textiles, everything.
No, even today, adding to what Yeshaswini talked about, is our Chennapatna toys. Today we only see it at tourist spots. There was a time these toys were available everywhere. I mean, if I want to buy a toy for somebody, it's only the Chinese plastic stuff that you find. Why is my government looking at all of that? They talk about promoting artisan crafts, but they do not want to promote this and say, flood all my markets. What has to be given as subsidies, give it to those markets so that this is not only exported, but also promoted here within my city. How many children talk about Channapatna toys? Very few. Earlier we said Bangalore, Karnataka, sandalwood. Of course, our other hero was also part of that. But that's it. Today we don't talk about sandalwood. We don't talk about all of this that we used to identify ourselves with. And that, I think, is not only a problem that we citizens must take responsibility for. I will continue to hold the government and all that. They have very fantastic departments to promote culture and heritage of Karnataka. What are they doing? Why are we not holding them accountable? Why is Sandalwood and Channapatna toys and this lovely sari that I'm wearing today?
It is.
This is my Karnataka sari. Now, why are we not promoting all of this? What is my government doing with all the funding, with all the budget that it talks about every year that it is promoting? We don't see it anywhere getting promoted. So this is not only a citizen's responsibility, but the government's responsibility, because you're paying the government to promote it.
So if we were to launch as a citizen from a ground up point of view, our version of MIB, I'm not talking about Men in Black, but Stayed in Bangalore. Okay, what are the things that come under the umbrella? Because there are so many things going for us, right? And we seem to be, probably a little, because I think we're very soft by nature, maybe, so we were not very, very articulate or, very, very, probably the north of India might have been distinct, right? We are in the south very post-archaic or, northern face speak. But at the same time, without losing our identity and without losing our sense of, as you rightly put sometimes, the sense of belonging, what can we do to kind of give that sense of pride again? I think it's not just more than anything else, more than economics. I think it's what I want success and dignity.
So a couple of things in my view. I know you mentioned the north and the south, but genuinely leadership does not have to be loud. So I'm okay with the fact that we're not in your face, because
Absolutely.
leadership doesn't, you don't have to be loud to be a leader. Couple of things I think is the media has to take responsibility. Somewhere we talk about morals and values deteriorating. We're talking about individualistic, materialistic, sensationalism kind of news. I mean, the kind of crime stories that has a dedicated audience is kind of scary.
Kind of
So- Yeah. So I think the narrative has to be set, because I genuinely feel what gets spoken about, what gets celebrated is what gets replicated. And I feel the media has to talk about it. Like she rightly said, there are budgets available. There are so many people like her, who have dedicated their lives for promoting arts, culture, working for the underprivileged. I work a lot with the rag picker community and do that for Bangalore. So we all in certain ways do CSR work, but unfortunately it's all about startups. I mean, when you were asking Harish about that, I mean, the brand of Bangalore has become the Silicon Valley of India. Why? Why are we aping America and saying we're the Silicon Valley? Right? So I think one thing that we have to do is to ensure this diversity in the coverage of what Bangalore stands for. And it has to celebrate our culture, which is inclusive. I think Bangalore is one of the most inclusive cities in the country, without any doubt.
Yes, Bangalore is one of the most inclusive cities in the world. You look at any Bangalorean and you will find that this Bangalorean knows a minimum of 4 languages, if not more. But I would like to come back to something that we've lost because of our education system. Why is this pride not beginning in my schools? Why are there schools that say that we will fine you if you speak in Kannada? What is this whole aggression that You can talk about all your other issues, but you don't want to say that Kannada, what is Kannadiga, is not first. Of course, we want to be inclusive, but not at my cost. You want to have me there. Our syllabus does not talk about these things. It's also a gendered syllabus, so I have a problem with that. But that said, we also want to ask ourselves, why are we talking so much about some other history, not talking about my Karnataka history? Why are that, even if it is CBSE or ICSE or SLC schools? Because when we talk about my country, I must also talk about my state and then my region. We can't let these go away somewhere. Now that has happened, because if I look at syllabus, that syllabus has this great problem. Earlier we used to celebrate these days, Karnataka Rajyotsava, in our schools, colleges. Today we don't celebrate it. Why?
That's a state holiday?
It's a state holiday. Now, state holiday said, okay, it's a holiday, everybody enjoys a holiday, loves a holiday. But earlier we used to do it the previous day.
Most people don't know the significance behind.
Yeah, so we used to do the previous day. If the government has to send a notification to that account, send it. And that's the only way that I'm going to make my children understand and learn that pride. Because that pride is getting lost. If that pride is not there, I'm not saying this from a negative, say, be proud and that, but understand what my history is. Don't let this history be eroded because somebody else is hegemonic about something else. Now that said, you again ask, what is it that we want to sell? We want to sell all of this, but it will not happen if only a certain age group of people are going to be talking about it. We want the entire family, the entire community and my city to talk. And like I mentioned earlier, people who come in over here must get involved in all of these celebrations. Invite them. Tell them to be here. Hey, this is my Rajyotsava day. Here is my Kannada day. Here is my whatever day. And this is how we are all expected to dress up, eat, speak, learn. For some reason now we are supposed to be inducing all of this. Let's induce it. Maybe in 5 years' time we could be better.
Yeah, I think, if artificial insemination is
required,
and whatever it is, I think this is something that is worth it, right?
Yeah, because we allowed it. Unknowingly, unwillingly, unconsciously, right? We've been brought to this space saying that let's reclaim all of this. On this one point, I will agree with Harish Bijoor that individualism that is called Kannadiga, let's get it back. And if this is the only way to get it back, so be it. But we are not, it's not like she said, it's not that in your face. But we are saying that, oh my God, suddenly we became cosmopolitan and we forgot that all of this got lost in the bargain. So we want to bring all of that. And when we talk about it, like Yeshaswini said, food, clothing, attire, all our literature, all the famous people and the infamous people, so what, we don't know all of them. And the small things that are indigenous from across Karnataka, if it has to be brought to Bangalore to make it known, so be it. Why should Bithri work be sitting only in Bidar? Bring it here. And it is the government's responsibility to make it affordable. It can't be only to a certain section of people. It has to be affordable. Today, like I said, we are looking at Chennapatna toys only at tourist spots. Why can't you not make it affordable to all of us? Make it affordable. Then children will learn, I grew up playing with all of those toys. My children grew up, but I don't know if my grandchildren will. All because of you, the government that we have elected, the bureaucracy that we pay for, it's your responsibility, as much as mine.
Yeah, but I think the fundamental framework, if you want to go about it in a very structured manner, I think we should not forget that the influx has been so rapid and it's such a short time.
It's like a lot of us is caught with
Even if 15 years ago, if somebody said that today we got 1.5 crore population in Bangalore, I mean, Whitefield was not considered to be a part of Bangalore. That's the joke we do, right? Exactly. Whitefield is not. And I remember real estate conversations because that tells you the culture, right? Real estate conversations 20 years ago in this place where we are shooting. I don't think anybody would have like boldly invested, and
Yes.
and it's not even been 2 decades. So I think this conversation is that's why so important. Because if we don't take, like you rightly said, if we don't take, if you're not cognizant of the fact that we have to do it now, I'm afraid it'll become too late, too little for us to kind of, because that's the pace. We're attracting global investments, talent, floating population. It's rapid. So growth is here to stay. That's the good news. I mean, so what Harish was saying is that we have a problem of plenty. That's good news. At least we're not, so it's good news. And I think we have to step up.
So it's a good time to be in. These are challenging situations, but these are the things that you actually kind of sometimes live for, right? You want to look back and say, and tell yourself, not anybody else, intrinsically that you want to do that. That, yeah, I think I was part of this movement.
No, I think we're in great times. Sorry. So if you want like very concrete actions, we should be celebrating our Kannada film industry a little bit more. We should be looking at the kind of movies.
Ganesh, you heard that, right?
We should be looking at the kind of narratives. KGF did what it did, but then it should not be a flash in the pan, right? It's a great time to be in. Look at everything. I don't think we have a problem of scarcity of ideas. I don't think there is a scarcity of intention. There is no scarcity of talent. There's no scarcity of resources, financial, human, otherwise. It just needs us to kind of come together and be a bit more vocal about the things that actually make us successful. And it is culture that is center stage. Bangalore Habba should be a Mahakumbh kind of a thing, right? The Bangalore Literature Festival. And I love what she said that, we need to celebrate all, not just sections of society. So if you talk about the literature and the kind of literature that gets celebrated, I think there's a lot of work that needs to be done to get different communities, the stories, the narratives. It's a great time to be in. And I think, look, I'm not worried whether our culture is going to survive or not. I think our culture is going to thrive.
It will thrive.
It's going to thrive. And we have a lot of expectations from the upcoming generation.
Maybe just instill a little more pride in the fact that we have this. Be a little more possessive about it, at the same time let it release, let it go out to the rest of the world or rest of the country to whatever it is. I think, as she mentioned, maybe I'm not saying flaunt from the sense of flaunting convention, but I think taking pride in the fact that there is something that is not spoken about, it's under the radar.
So why not flaunt? Yeah, because we know that if you look at tourism and you look at everything else, for too long there has been this kind of flaunting of the north. How? Any place for tourism, it's up there. Nobody looked at us. So if that is what is going to get us that recognition, let's flaunt it. We know that all of the flaunting also will then taper down at some point of time. If that is what is going to bring us now up there. Now that said, I would love to look at it in a decentralized fashion. So it's not that one spot, because we know we talk, curse and so much about traffic. If it's going to be at one spot or one geography, again we will lose out. So if we could have the same celebrations at different places, geography, maybe at the same time, because that's the season. So when we talk of spring or we talk of autumn or winter celebration, now we're looking at Kadlekai Habba. Now the Kadlekai Habba slowly is coming to other geographies. But again, it is very slow. After nearly 15 years, we saw it in another place. Can we work with the ward committees, with the communities in these various areas to say, Kadlikai Habba is going to be in all of these places, because that is my Habba. And it's an example. So like that, if we have it decentralized in different places, at the same time, all of us will start getting that feeling that, this is mine. This is happening just a kilometer, 2 kilometers away from my place. I do not have to go all the way to Basangudi. So that is what we want to start talking about. And like Yeshaswini pointed out, this is the best time because I'm now here another you.
Right, absolutely.
So that said, that pride is something that we must instill, and it has to be instilled within my family because as adults, as parents, as people with more information, we need to be able to also instill that in our children. But it is also a responsibility of institutions. It's also the responsibility of the government. So all of us are responsible and we need to work simultaneously in cooperation. We are not in competition with anybody. So let's work simultaneously. And I think a bigger responsibility is also of companies. Because Yeshaswini used the word CSR, look at it like that. I want to revive a dying art. Yes, you must revive it. But also revive a thriving art. Because we want to see that it thrives more in other places. So is CSR committed to something like that? Can they not be committed? Can we not hold them responsible? Bijoor spoke about America. In America, you can't open an MNC company if you don't have a community playground. Has the government made any such rule or law here? No. Can we bring that in? Why not?
This is very inspirational and very, very motivational. Just last, I know, sorry, yes, you have to go. Just one thing, you mentioned about all these things. Now, I'm always curious about the fact that why do we talk about in corporates DEI and all that when trying to change mindsets of people where prejudice and bias is so firmly entrenched? They're already 30, 35, 40 by the time, Don't you think it's a K-12 play? They should be doing this right from school level so that they're coming out with all that, all this ammunition is already there. It is natural. It's very seamless for them. Right, when instead of trying to do listen about this CSR thing or a DEI thing in that, and people are beating the megaphone to no effect, right? The impact is very, very little. What are your thoughts on that? That would be a concluding thought because, as I said, as you both of you said, it's a great time to be. There are lots of opportunities that we need, and it would be a shame if we don't collectively kind of embark on that journey together.
Sure.
Look, I think, the tragedy of inclusion is that it's exclusive in its very nature. Even the way he said, why are we targeting 30-year-olds? Why don't we target the K-12? You can't exclude. I mean, the narrative of inclusion is that you can't exclude.
My question was more about the fact that since we face that, is a solution that we actually inculcated in the curriculum from K-12.
I think it's more of a Western concept, if you ask me, because I think Indians and Kannadigas by nature are very inclusive. I don't think we need to sit here and get taught about.
Our childhood, our upbringing has been about respecting, and which is the proof is in the pudding. The fact that we're able to attract talent globally and within India means that we're a city that embraces diversity, celebrates inclusion. So I don't think we need to be taught that. Okay. I think what I'm trying to suggest is that we need to celebrate it a little more. I think we're so used to being inclusive, we're so used to being accommodative that we somewhere forget to
give it the honor and the respect.
Give it the space. Give it the space that it deserves. We are a very special city. I'm very, very proud to be a Kannadiga. Where do we celebrate that? I think that's where I'm aiming at it. We have a lot of things going for us. Like I said, we will continue to attract more people. So the city has problems of infrastructure. I don't think anybody disagrees on that. And towards important issues like infrastructure, I think we have to hold the government accountable by asking them a very simple question of spends on budgets. I think the transparency that we need in accounting, in reporting, because I did mention about civic apathy, is sometimes we get so distracted and confused with so many issues on hand. But one very fundamental question is, if this was the budget allocated, this is the spend, show us the effectiveness of it. And if each citizen, irrespective of where you are in Bangalore, holds their locally elected representative accountable to provide them transparent information, I think we'll be on to something really powerful and path-breaking. And we need that to be encouraged. And I don't think we should fear the people that we have elected. I think we've elected them with a certain objective in mind, and we need those conversations to be happening in the public space as well.
I slightly differ. We have not taught our people, our children, to hold anybody accountable, because we are a culture that has always said, listen to the elders, don't question them.
There is a dichotomy
That
there.
authority you mustn't question. So we've grown up, and today I think largely what Bijoor was talking about was just a small group of people questioning, challenging, critically thinking, or even criticizing. Small group of people. What happened to the larger group? The larger group has remained in that space where you don't question, you don't challenge your elders. Status quo, it's okay. So what Suresh said is what I would like to reiterate and support. Important to teach from to the children from that 6 or 7 years old, because we've also become a education where the teacher tells keep quiet. Yeah, so this keep quiet has gone all the way. 75, 80 years old, keep quiet. There's no longer keep quiet. Because we kept quiet, we've reached this spot over here. And now we are all trying to scramble around and say, what should we do? So that said, we need to ensure that our education is an education that allows for critical thinking, that allows for that precautiousness, because I really have to say thanks to my grandmother and my mother, who allowed me to ask and say everything under the sun. For yesterday I was talking to somebody when I was about 4 years old or something. I went to my mother and I said, I'm a Tamilian. And they said, everybody is calling me Karpi. So my mother said, you are dark, so they will call you Karpi. So why are you upset about it? I said, oh, I need not be upset. She said, no, that's the fact. I said, oh, okay. I learned to celebrate this fact and truth, but the way it was said to me. Then I grew older, around 7, 8, 9 years old. I think 8 years old. And my grandfather is my paternal grandfather is from Madurai. So we went, used to go for our vacations there. And my grandmother used to treat me a little different because of my dark skin. So I went and told my Tata, I said, next year onwards, I'm not coming here. So he asked why. I said, see, Pati is all the time asking me to walk at the back. Everybody else has to walk in front. So he said, okay, no, you mustn't make these kind of decisions like this. No, you must listen to people. I said, nobody listens to me. I don't want to listen to anybody. Then he said, next morning, all of you finish your bath. 5:30, we are going somewhere. So all of us were ready. This is a time when you're talking about 18, 19 in a family. It was very common.
Yeah.
We all go to this temple, Meenakshi temple. And he said, you will all follow me and pray, do your prayers, but no talking amongst yourself. You must do a lot of thinking, observe everything that is around. We said, okay. After about 15 minutes, the usual practice, you sit at that temple place for some time to, let everything soak in. After about 10 minutes, my grandfather asked my grandmother the question, what color are all the deities? She said, purple. So she said, don't you want the deities to be fair? She said, no. Then why are you treating Brinda differently? And that face of my grandmother, I wish I could have captured it in a photo, was like, it was apologetic, it was enlightening, it was also anger. And that's where she just turned to me and she told, you look like Devi only, And so I'm sorry that I made you feel so upset about it. But that gave me some more pride. If that is something that can be taught to our children, it's important, like you said, to teach that pride, that ownership, that belongingness from that very small age. And my schools have a responsibility. The syllabus has a responsibility. The teachers have a responsibility. Parents, of course, have a responsibility. And my state government has a responsibility. Nobody is absolved. Everybody has that responsibility to ensure that my children, my young people, my youth, and my women, of course, because a patriarchal society like ours constantly sidelines women, to give that space of respect and dignity to all, and everybody to feel that pride in being this Kannadiga in Bangalore and across Karnataka.
You talk about Bangalore being an IT hub, Silicon hub, academic hub, pub hub, innovation hub. What is the one North Star that we should be chasing?
Let me put it this way: that all said and done, Bengaluru is a lovely city to be in. Okay, otherwise none of us would be here.
Yeah.
Okay, we earn from here. We have earned our spurs from here, and therefore, whenever somebody criticizes Bengaluru, I get very angry. Okay, I tend to say that if you criticize the city, you do not have a right to be here. Okay. Now that's being the nasty son of the soil, Mandina Maga that I am. Okay. Because let's not criticize the place we live in. Let's try and improve it. And therefore, what hub do you want to be? I want to be a hub of everything. Because for me, Bengaluru is a thali, a wide thali. Forget the thali. For me, Bengaluru is my basic dish. Bengaluru is a bisi bele bath. My bisi bele bath, to the uninitiated, would be a khichdi. This is my Karnataka khichdi. Now in Tamil Nadu, I have a pongal. So on my plate, I have a bisi bele bath. Now the bisi bele bath it's not about one hub. It's about different kinds of hubs. Now each of these hubs is every ingredient that goes into it. So I want my Bengaluru bisi bele bath to be comprised of literally every one of people from every state of India. People from across the world being here. My bisi bele bath is not only a bisi bele bath. It is a bisi bele bath with a Bengali khichru, with a Tamil pongal, with a Bihari millet khichdi. Everything being on the same plate. Now, what are these hubs that I'm talking about? I think, firstly, we need to be a business hub for sure, which we already are. And this business hub is of two kinds. One is the physical business and the virtual business. Bengaluru is lopsided because the virtual business dominates the physical business. Bengaluru is 73.4 virtual business, and the rest of it is physical business in value terms. Okay, not volume terms, in value terms. Now this needs to be balanced out over a period of time, but it's not going to get balanced out because the value business is going to dominate with AI coming in. It's going to dominate even further. But the point is, physical businesses, virtual businesses. We need to start respecting physical businesses equally. Again, there are physical, cultural, properties, and then there are virtual cultural properties. The physical, cultural properties need to be respected that much more, and we need to be creating a lot of hubs and networks of hubs. Thirdly is community. Knitting the physical businesses and the virtual businesses is community. And community is every single individual who lives here, either from Karnataka or outside of Karnataka.
Yes,
that doesn't matter. Plenty. So the thing is, everyone belongs to Bengaluru. Bengaluru is, for me, the brand is a thought that lives in a person's mind. And to that extent, that thought is Bengaluru. This thought belongs to everybody.
Just a thought, just to interject here, do you think that the acceptance, or the other way to look at it would be adjustment, Swalpa adjust madi,
Yeah.
right? Is it an advantage or a disadvantage?
Well, Swalpa adjust madi is a Bengaluru culture, and that's why we're loved. The Kannadiga is the most all-embracing entity I have seen around in India.
Yep.
Forgive me, I might be jingoistic because I'm a Kannadiga, but point is, I don't believe I'm being jingoistic. I'm being straightforward. I'm saying Kannadiga embraces everybody. You come from anywhere, you're welcome. You're welcome. And guess what? I am willing to talk your language, by the way. You don't have to talk my language. I know a little bit of what you talk, and I'm willing to adjust to it. And that is the beauty of the Kannadiga. We are non-communal, by the way. Okay, we are non-jingoistic. We are not jingoistic about the kind of food anybody eats. The number of restaurants you have in Bengaluru in terms of multi-cuisines. Yesterday I was at a Turkish cuisine restaurant in Bengaluru. Brilliant Turkish food with kunafa made hot off the counter kind of a thing. What I'm saying is there are something like 67 cuisines available in Bengaluru. The Republic of Koramangala itself has 111 food outlets of different cuisine. 111. I do a fair bit of work in food, and food is my favorite, okay? So the thing is, if you ask me, Bengaluru has all of it. But the point is, the starting hubs, the knitting of it. You know, Bengaluru is like a physical body with a mind. The physical body is what we started with. Now, the mind is dominating the physical body. Now, if I look at a pie chart, more than 73% of it is the mind, and the balance of it is the physical body. But knitting the physical body and the mind is something we call the interstitium. In physiological terms, the interstitium is that one thing. It's considered to be the largest organ of the body. The skin is no longer the largest organ of the body. The interstitium. The interstitium is the community. And this community and community feel is what we need to knit together. We must never feel that I'm an outsider in the city. I must never feel that I'm renting this city. I must say that this is my city. That ownership is the brand in your head. I want that to happen.
I also will, extend to sense of entitlement as well, Harish.
Well, entitlement, I mean, all of us like to feel very
Yeah,
entitled.
exactly.
You know who I am.
Yeah.
It's that old, मेरे बाप का नाम जानते हो?
Yeah,
And I don't want to go to the repartee to that. But the point is, that entitlement exists at all levels. It exists at the bottom rung of society, middle rung of society, top rung of society. But I think we need to give back to the city. We need to take care of the bottom rung of society, the middle rung of society. The challenges are huge there. Huge. We cannot ever think that Bengaluru belongs to the cognoscenti. Bengaluru belongs to the cognoscenti who go to these 236 and odd kind of 5-star restaurants. Or Bengaluru belongs to my Darshini outlet. The Darshini where you and I go is the ultimate place to eat at. I mean, I keep going to Darshinis. You go there, you buy an idli, and they give you those 2 spoons from the hot water out. You take it to a round table. At the round table, it's democratic eating. There's an auto rickshaw driver, potential murderer, and I, all 3 sitting and standing and eating. That is the spirit of Bengaluru. And I think we should encourage that more rather than creating Bengaluru of the haves and the Bengaluru of the have-nots.
Any tagline that you want to give to Bangalore?
Tagline, no, that's a very difficult thing. I'll charge a fee for it. Okay. But as of today, what's really happening is Bengaluru's icon is shifting. The new Bengaluru icon seems to be becoming the traffic signal, the traffic light which you see at a corner. Because anybody talks of Bengaluru, first thing they talk about Bengaluru traffic. I tell people, I was in Jaipur and said, I'm from Bengaluru. उधर का traffic बहुत खराब है ना सर. अरे यार traffic का क्यों बात कर रहे हो? I mean, talk about my other things that I have, which is great. So the impression of Bengaluru is traffic. As of today, I'm not saying that should become the icon of Bengaluru. We need to change it. But as a tagline, I think I am a very, very coffee-centric person. And long years ago, there's a delightful slogan that says, "A lot can happen over coffee." And I think I would say a lot can happen over Bengaluru.
So maybe it's called 56 and Uru. And I'm sure we started and probably touched upon something really, really meaningful, relevant, and at least from our side, from my side, I can commit to this not being just a lip service. Wherever we can kind of combine souls, resources, intent, energy, enthusiasm, commitment, more than happy to kind of take the lead or be a follower, more than happy to do that. Thank you so much.
Lovely. Hey, lovely meeting you, Yesh.
Yeah.
Lovely again.